and welcome to Tech Tips by Norfield. I'm Carl Lewis, Senior Service Technician here at Norfield. In this video, we're going to be setting up a 4000 machine. We're going to get it in position, get it connected, and hook up the 4200 and the 4100 and get it ready to run. So the first thing you'll want to do is set the 4000 machine in position in your shop, appropriate distance from the wall, if any, and square it up with the building. And then you'll need to level the machine. So we'll take our level, set it on the plastic strips on the front, make it level from left to right. And then we'll also put the level on the rollers at the ends to level it from front to back. So we'll use the tops of the rollers to level the machine from front to back at both ends. Once we have the machine level, then we can take the connector bracket for the 4200, which is this part here. Lay it down at the end of the machine. There are slotted holes in the ends, and they line up with the holes in the legs of the machine. So we'll position the 4200 in front of the 4000. The two surfaces on the face of it here need to line up with the machine and be just inside of this surface. So as we watch that surface there, we'll want this to come inside of it by 1/4 of an inch or so. Okay, about like that. Now that we have the loader in position, we can bolt it to the bracket, to the connector bracket. We'll bolt through the slotted holes in the bracket into the threaded holes into the frame with 2 bolts and tighten those up. All right, now that we have the loader all set up, we can install the door bumper that keeps the doors from getting hung up on the end of the machine. Bolt the top piece directly to the frame. At the lower end of the bracket, you need to use the longer bolts and the spacers. Then the electrical line from the control panel and the hoses to the air valve can be wire tied to the tie bases on the end of the frame. When we bring the 4100 in, we're going to position it at the outfeed end of the 4000 with the operator's side opposite from the operator of the 4000. The fixed side will be where the hinge jamb comes in. And it wants to be lined up so that when the hinge jamb comes out, it's on the outside of this side of the 4100, so the hinge jamb can close here. When the door comes out of the 4000, the jamb will be roughly in this position. So the 4100 needs to be positioned so that the jamb will come out on this side so that it will close and fall into the machine correctly. Most operators prefer to have enough space between the 4000 and the 4100 to walk between. Makes it much handier when operating the machine. In this case, we're going to set it up very close. So the height of the 4100 should be approximately 1 inch to 1.5 inches below the outfeed roller so that the door comes into the 4100 and falls down onto it. Also, we're going to level the machine lengthwise and then crossways at each end. And it has the same style bolts for leveling at the bottom. After we get the loader in position and bolted in, And we can hook up the electrical conduit. This is 120 volts coming from the circuit breaker panel in the back of the 4000. This is the air connection to the 4000. This is the feed valve here. So hook up the two hoses. The control panel will be mounted up here on the loader when it arrives. Normally we take that and move it to the top of the control panel over here to make it handier for the operator. So the control panel mounts here on the loader for use when the loader is a standalone. When we're using it with the 4000, then we'll move the control panel over with the other control panel, which will make it easier for the operator to use. All right, so that's hooked up. There'd be a piece of flexible conduit that comes from the single-phase breaker box on the 4000 that attaches to the electrical box here to connect the 120 volts. So we'll connect to the air to the 4100, to the inlet, to the FRL unit right here. We'll connect the air to the 4000, to the inlet, to its FRL unit here. When you connect to the electrical, have a certified electrician do the connections. This is the single-phase breaker box here. This box requires 220 volts AC with a neutral. So your three-phase with a ground comes into one of the starter boxes. From either the bottom or the top, it will connect to the three terminals at the top of the starter. The tops of the contactors are already jumpered together, so we only need to connect to one. Now that we've got the machine in position, 4100, 4200, electrical and the air connected, if this is a new machine startup, then you'll wait for the Norfield service tech to arrive. You'll check the electrical and complete the setup. If this is a used machine and you're setting it up yourself, proceed to the next videos. So this is the FRL unit on the 4000. The main air connects here. We have a disconnect valve. And when we turn the disconnect valve off, it not only blocks the incoming air, but drains the air out of the machine. All right, so now there's no air pressure anywhere in the machine. It's blocked. The next unit up is a T. They have fittings here that you can put hoses in for blow down air. This unit is the particulate filter and the water trap. It has a bayonet style bowl. We can pull the latch down, rotate the bolt, and that comes off from there like that. There's a float in there to drain the water when the air pressure goes down, and there's a filter element right here that's replaceable. The next unit up is the coalescing filter. The bowl comes off the same way. Undo the latch, rotate it, drops off. Also a filter element that can be replaced. This unit is the regulator. The regulator should be set at 90 psi, as it says on the sticker. And this knob down here is the adjustment knob to adjust the air pressure. The final unit up here is the lubricator. The lubricator adds oil back to the system to lubricate the valves and the cylinders. So this is the FRL unit on the 4100. It consists of the same units. We've got the shut-off lockout valve first, the water trap and particulate filter, coalescing filter, regulator, and lubricator. This is the inside of the main electrical box on the 4000. At the center of the operation, we have the PLC or controller. The controller consists of a power supply, a main processing unit, input modules, and output modules. Also in the electrical box, we have terminal blocks. These are the circuit breakers for the power feed wheels. These are the relays for the router motors, butt routers 1, 2, and 3, and the faceplate router. And on the side we have air over electric switches. These, when they're energized with air from the outside, give an input to the controller. The switches start at the top with a lock drill home sensor, lock drill return sensor, latch drill home sensor, latch drill return sensor, and the eject pedal. These switches give inputs to the controller so the controller can make decisions and give us the appropriate outputs. So the PLC has several banks of lights on it. These are inputs. The lights here indicate an input either from a switch on a control panel or a sensor at a particular cylinder or motion. Lights over here indicate outputs as directed by the inputs. These input and outputs all have a meaning. There's usually a set of schematics in the door that'll tell you what those are. Also, you can call Norfield service if there are issues, and we will help you diagnose the problem based on the input and the output lights. Okay. So it should be an input and an associated output. Okay. So this is a control panel on the 4000. At the top we have the controls for the loader, the 4200 loader. In the center you have a switch for manual and automatic. In the manual position, when you push the up button, it goes up. When you push the down button, it goes down. When you put it in the automatic mode, the doors will come up until the first door blocks this photo eye, which is looking at a reflector over there, and it will stop. This photo eye is now adjusted so that the door is at the correct height to feed into the machine. When the door has fed into the machine, then it will leave a gap there and the next door will come up automatically to the correct height. So the controls for the 4000, the one in the upper right hand corner is the emergency stop button. We have width in and width out. These are used to adjust the width of the machine to match the width of the door. You can turn the power feed motors on or off. Normally they will be on. You can change from a left hand or a right hand door. You can select the drill cycle. You can select the machine cycle to either do the drills only, routers only, or both. You can select the butt size, 3.5 or 4 inch. Decide whether or not you're going to have a faceplate route on or off. This is the start for the drills, and this is the stop for the drills. So we can start the drill motors and stop the drill motors. And this is the cycle start. Once you have the door in and clamped up and ready to go, you've decided what you were going to do with the door, you push the drill cycle button and it will cycle the door.